drinks and beverages are all the rage right now on Instagram, and for good reason too. They're a great way to add variety to your portfolio. They attract a whole new segment of clients besides food, and they're just really fun to photograph. And with the tips and tricks I'm going to share with you today, they're beautiful and an easy subject to nail as well. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, the place to learn how to take stunning food photos and make serious money too. So today we're veering slightly away from food and focusing on beverage photography, which is a great extension to complement your food photography. Because the likelihood is if there's food around, there's also drinks there to share as well. I'll be sharing my 5 top tips so that you're easily able to take photos that look like this, this, and this. So if you're ready, let's dive straight in. Now the first tip I have for you is to actually reduce any unwanted reflections when photographing drinks. This is the #1 complaint I hear from my students. How do we reduce unwanted reflections on a glass? And there's actually quite a few ways to do this. The first way is using a glass that has etchings like this one over here instead of a smooth one like the one that's over here. Now this is a great way to reduce reflections because when the light hits the glass, instead of kind of bouncing directly into your camera, which is what happens when the surface is smooth, it actually bounces all over the place and doesn't create any clear reflections. So etched glasses are your best way to not only add interest to your beverage images, but also reduce those dreaded reflections. Now the second easy way to reduce reflections is to double diffuse your light source. So whether you're using artificial lighting or natural window light, double diffusing the light will help to create a softer, more flatter highlight and reflection on your glass. So what's double diffusion, you ask? Well, this is when you use 2 modifiers. So in the case of artificial lighting, it will be a softbox plus maybe a large screen or a diffuser in front of it to light your scene. And then the same applies if you're using natural window light. You just want to place a larger diffuser in front of your window for double diffusion. So try these 2 tips the next time you see any unwanted reflections on your glass. Okay, the second tip I have for you when photographing beverages is to use good quality fake ice. Now you're probably thinking, why should I be using fake ice when I've got the real deal for free inside my freezer? And there are actually a couple of reasons for doing this. #1, real ice will melt really quickly on set, sometimes much faster than you being able to nail the shot. So working with fake ice gives you a lot more time on set to get the shot just right. Now the second reason for using fake ice is that it's really hard to make real ice completely clear when you're freezing it. Now, the clearer your ice is, the better your drink will look, especially if you're using backlighting and a clear drink where the light will go through the glass and then through the ice cubes. Now, from experience, I found the Trendgrove ice cubes some of the best and most realistic looking on the market. So definitely check those out if you're looking to invest in fake ice. I've also linked to it in the description box below. Now, here's an example of an image I shot for a brand where we used fake ice on set. We were using artificial lighting, the set was really warm, and it took a long time to get approvals from the client as well. So fake ice was the way to go. And you can see when you zoom in that the stylist was also able to create droplets around the glass to make it look like it was cold. Okay, now before I move on to tip #3, I want to make sure that you've downloaded my free 18 lessons guide, because if you've enjoyed the tips I've given you so far about beverage photography, then you will absolutely love the tips and tricks I have for you inside the free ebook. I cover things like lighting, editing, composition, workflow, monetizing your photography business. So you want to make sure you download this, and I've actually linked to it in the description box below as well. Okay, on to tip #3. Now, if you find that your drinks are kind of losing their fizz by the time you style them, you get the angle right, the lighting right, and basically they've just lost their sparkle, then this tip is for you. Adding a small amount of salt to your fizzy drinks will actually allow the drinks to sparkle right back up as though they were freshly poured. If you take a look at this example here, I actually added half a teaspoon of salt to this cloudy lemon drink, and it immediately fizzed out. I was even able to capture some of the fizz, and you can see that when I zoom in a little closer in the image. So salt is your secret weapon when it comes to adding the fizz back to your drinks. Shh, I stole that from a food stylist, so don't tell anyone. Okay, let's get into tip #4, and that is to find garnish ideas that are a little bit different, a little bit interesting, a little bit out of the box. Let's be real for a second. Most drinks are generally quite boring, so we really need to focus on other elements such as glassware or garnishes to make them look more exciting. And if you don't have the money or the space to buy a huge glass collection, then turning to interesting garnishes is the way forward. Now, some ideas include edible flowers, fruits cut into unusual shapes, using interesting cocktail picks, for example. Or how about a dusting of freshly grated spice or sugar? Smoked herbs or spices are also a great way to add interest. Then you've got citrus peels. Try cutting them with jagged scissors, as well as maybe pickled vegetables. As you can see, the options really are endless, so get creative and think outside the box when it comes to the garnishes for your beverages. Okay, the next tip I have for you has to do with your camera settings, and that's to use a fast shutter speed in order to capture pour shots. Pour shots are some of my favorite ways to add interest to a drink image, especially when the actual drink looks a little flat or boring. Now, you want to ensure that when you're capturing a pour shot, you use a fast shutter speed when using natural light. This will ensure that your pour is crisp and sharp. And if you're using artificial light, the movement of the pour is actually independent of the shutter speed. So this is not something you need to worry about. Now here's an example of a pour shot that I did using natural light. And the shutter speed I've used here is at least double, if not more, of the focal length of the lens. And this just ensures that I'm able to get a crisp, clean shot of the actual pour. Now, speaking of pouring shots, this is a great opportunity for you to create a GIF or GIF. Do you say GIF or GIF? Okay. GIF images without having to do any extra work for your client. So if you're shooting drink images for a brand or a client, this is the perfect opportunity for you to upsell your client and increase the average order value of your invoice. Now, I teach the exact art of upselling in one of the modules of my paid program, Food Photography Bootcamp. So if you're looking to book more clients, if you're looking to increase your revenue and really scale up your food photography business, then Food Photography Bootcamp would be the perfect program for you. Because not only do you learn how to take stunning shots, but you also learn how to turn your hobby into a successful business. So if you'd like to join the waitlist for when class opens again, the link is in the description box below. Now, drink photography is actually considered a sub-niche of its own within photography. And the lighting, the styling, and the shooting techniques can really vary from normal food photography. It can be a lot harder to style as well as photograph. So I really hope that some of the tips that I shared today will make that process easier for you. So comment below and tell me what's your favorite tip from today's video. Now make sure you've also hit the subscribe button because I'll be back next week with a brand new video. And in the meantime, you can also check out these 2 videos to further your education in food photography as well as the business of food photography. You can also follow me along on Instagram for daily tips and tricks. And I can't wait to catch you next week.